You know nothing, Derek Teague.
Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
It is episode 89 of Fathers of the Grind. I'm here with Derek Teague. Hello.
Hey.
And my name is Tim Nestor. Derek is back. Why weren't you here last week? Explain it to the people. There was a lot of anger, a lot of tears. What happened?
I think I literally saw one post. I think that's a little bit dramatic. Mainly because of Irma. But it's kind of my fault too, though, because we were supposed to record last Friday night, and I'm like, oh, Tim, we could just game tonight. We'll do it Saturday night. And then Saturday is when Irma changed its path from it's going to hit the east coast of Florida to full-on west coast going right at us, right at Tampa. So once it did that, we had to change our plans, my wife and I's plans for what we were doing. And so we ended up packing up and not leaving town, but just going to another building that we felt would be a little bit safer and has other families there, so we're not just going through the storm alone. So she wanted.
Did you guys have any trees down, anything crazy near your house, or was it just kind of wet?
Yeah, there was like at our like probably literally 30 seconds from where I live is I'm forgetting what it's called. Clubhouse. And it's actually a very big clubhouse. There's like 2 or 3 nice buildings, and I guess a huge tree, like one of their big oak trees, fell right in front of it. So there was that, and then there was a tree probably another 30 seconds down the road in our subdivision. The opposite direction had fallen into the road, and it was another big oak tree that had fallen over. But that was it pretty much in our subdivision. I found out when I got back that we did not lose power. All our neighbors had power. We had power, so it was nice to come home and not have to like clean out our fridge and throw everything away because everything was fine. But we also went to the church we went to, literally lost power for 5 minutes. And the reason why this is kind of, in my opinion, miraculous is the transistor was literally like lighting up every time a branch touched it, and the wind was blowing the branches into it.
Oh, you were just waiting for it to go out for good.
We were
right?
like counting down. We're like, this is gonna blow up, and we're gonna be without power for the next 2 days. And it went out, and so as soon as it went out, we had like a group meeting. Everybody got together, and we kind of explained how everything was gonna work. And 5 minutes later, it popped back on, and it never went off again.
You're like, never mind, cancel those plans.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
Go back to gaming, go back, and I ended up all day Sunday, me, my pastor, and his dad, we just sat there and watched football.
Nice. Well, good. I'm glad you guys are okay. When I saw that the storm was starting to decrease in strength a little bit, we were all excited that, okay, good, it won't be as bad. And then it picked up strength, and then it went back down.
Yeah.
So those kind of things are crazy. So we're glad you're okay. We're glad you're back. Glad we had Bobby Pauls to fill in last week to talk about Nintendo and co-op games and stuff like that. Although he doesn't quite have the cynicism and realistic viewpoints that you do. You know, he's a little more optimistic like I am. And
too much
he doesn't bring us. Yeah, he doesn't bring us back down to earth like you do. So
Eli, just so you know, I'm recording. So what exactly?
Keep those clothes on, bud.
It's not only that; he's got a water gun.
Oh.
You're not going to go shoot Emily. This is what I deal with every.
That would be bad. Eli, don't poke the hornet's nest, man.
He already did earlier. He was making his vlog video. And so he set the camera down on the rug right outside of Emily's room, and he like got in the camera's face. He's like, "I'm gonna go in there and shoot her. I'm gonna prank her." And he goes in and he just starts firing on her. And my daughter is a very aggressive girl, so if you upset her, she will literally beat the crap out of you.
Full water gun.
Okay, why are you walking over here?
He wants us to see it. Nice.
Get away from my $1,700 computer. I swear you shoot it and Tim will see violence. Get out of here.
I'm going to spray your back.
Get him out of here. Get
him out of here.
Ah, stop, you son of a... I knew he was going to do that. I hate him.
Oh, Eli. Continues to be the best thing about our show, is his occasional appearances.
Yeah, he's a joy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
everything's
back to normal. Everything's good, and
back to work,
glad
back to
to be
school,
back.
all that good stuff.
Yeah, everything's back.
Cool. Well, even though I'm glad those things are back to normal, one thing next year that's going to change for those of us who enjoy CEO Kaz on Twitter, next year is his final year on Twitter. He's going to retire that account. Whoever the person is who runs it released this official statement saying this was started as a joke and it became a real thing and I've enjoyed it, but it's time for me to move on to other things. And so CEO Kaz is moving on, much to the sadness of the community who follows him. That being
I do
said,
want to say his announcement, I liked, he was very self-aware. Like, he basically was, as he was saying something, he was answering all the future criticism he was going to get. And I also like the fact that he was like, look, to be honest with you, my jokes are getting old. I mean, how much can I make fun of the Vita and the PS3 launch?
Yeah,
And
he made fun of himself. He's like, I'm getting repetitive, and I realize that.
So it's good that he knows that it's the ship has sailed. Time
He wants to get through one more E3 as CEO Kaz, and then he's going to call it. So at some point next year, who knows exactly when, maybe the end of the year, I don't know, he will call it. So there you go. If you're a fan, go back and read some of those old tweets. Some of those are really great, especially after major E3 stuff and announcements and sales, all that kind of stuff. He was always good for a laugh. So
yeah, he's good.
Another thing that's worth mentioning, at least, without digging too far into it, Nintendo just had a Direct this past week that was just full of announcements, really dug into some games, got me really hyped for Nintendo's fall lineup. I was already hyped, but now I'm really, really excited. And I don't want us to spend too much time on this, but tell me a few of the things that you heard about. I don't know if you watched it or not. What are a few of the things that they announced that you're excited about?
I'm trying to think of.
Or is there anything? Were you not really that excited?
I'm excited. Like, again, and I've said this before. If I know a game's coming, hey guys, take it in the room. I'm recording.
Okay. I will.
All right, have a great day.
All
right, so if I know if it's like a sequel and I've already seen like the initial trailer, I don't really get excited. Okay, you don't need to pet my back. Okay. So, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I'll tell you why I'm excited about that. I'm excited that it actually is coming out in 2017. Because every time that game's been talked about, and I'm not talking about just on this show, like literally every podcast I watch, every group I'm a part of.
Hang on. We got to see this.
Emily.
I've got money on Emily.
Emily, sweetheart.
He sprayed my door.
I'm getting on to him, trust me. He already sprayed my... Okay. Eli, go play Xbox in your room now. Go. You're making a mess, and I'm already mad. I'm already mad I went into Emily's bathroom, and you've got water everywhere. So go play Xbox, and then, okay.
She threw her flip-flop at my back.
All right, I'll talk to her later. But you got to go, okay? All right, no.
Oh my gosh, that came back fast.
All right, guys, seriously, stop. Not just because I'm recording, but just stop. Oh my gosh.
Look at his taunting.
Oh.
Oh, and he's over. And feet are in the air.
Well, he's dead because he's trapping himself. All right, so anyways, I don't get excited by just like re-announcements. And I didn't. Okay. I don't remember anything really new being announced. I mean, you might remind me just because I tend to watch things and then just forget. So, okay. But other than that,
well,
no.
I won't go through all the announcements. If any of you missed it and you have any interest in Nintendo or Switch, whether you're going to get one or already have one, go check it out for sure. Even 3DS, there's some interesting stuff happening. But I don't know that they announced a ton of new stuff, but they revealed some things we've been waiting for. So one of the first things is they finally revealed the release date for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which we were kind of on the fence. Is this game going to be ready this year or not? Turns out, yes, it is. December 1st of this year, this absolutely epic-looking JRPG will be releasing. It looks really great. They broke down a lot of their battle systems, some of the combat mechanics that will be included, the different roles that different characters will play. And so I think that looks really great. I'm really, really excited for that one. But you're right. It wasn't a new announcement. We've seen a few things about it in the past, but this is the first time they really dug into it. We got a release date. I'm very excited. I actually already got this pre-ordered at Best Buy because I had to renew my Gamers Club Unlocked at Best Buy, so I went ahead and pre-ordered this. And Super Mario Odyssey, which was also featured pretty heavily. They showed a whole bunch of new areas, a few new abilities, and a few new story elements. They're really kind of laying the groundwork for what looks to be another epic Mario adventure. So I'm very excited for Odyssey as well. They did talk about a few other things. They dug into Octopath Traveler from Square.
That's the one I want to try. I downloaded the demo, but I haven't actually tried it.
Same here. I've got the demo ready to play. I haven't tried it yet. I haven't really had time to, but I plan to either tonight or tomorrow. That one looks fascinating, and I love that Square said, we're putting this demo out. This game isn't really anywhere near release. We want to hear back from you. So you play it, and you tell us what you think. And they want feedback. They actually want feedback from people as they continue to develop the game. So I'm very interested in that. The art style looks really pretty. It's got a nice retro mixed with incredible lighting, like a modern-day look in some areas with kind of this retro pixelated characters. Looks fascinating. I'm really intrigued by it. So I know they talked about a few other things, but the two things that jumped out to me... Oh, they also announced release date for Skyrim. That'll be November 17th. So within 3 days, you'll have two pretty big re-releases of games on the Switch. You'll have L.A. Noire coming out, and you'll have Skyrim. And boy, it looked really pretty. I feel like that's about
How much is L.A. Noire?
What's that?
How much is L.A. Noire?
I don't know how much it'll be. I did not look and see.
Same thing with Skyrim. Is Skyrim going to be a full $60 game?
I'm gonna look that up real quick and see if I can figure that out. But those two are releasing in November. They announced. I feel like the biggest thing to me was Bethesda. Bethesda's all in on the Switch. I mean, they are obviously putting out Skyrim. They're also going to release Doom on the Switch this holiday. All they said was holiday, not a release date, but I anticipate this one also coming out in November, if I had to guess. I am buying that game, and I'm going to play it again. I cannot wait to play Doom again. I love that game, and I know...
and I'm not doubting you, like, your desire to play it again.
Yeah.
But do you really think you're going to be able to play it again when you've got, like, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and you've got all the October and November games? And we're not talking about, like, small games. We're talking about large games. Like, even... I haven't watched a lot on Mario Odyssey. In fact, that's one of the games I'm kind of blocking.
It looks amazing, and it looks massive.
I don't want to watch anything because I want to be, like, shocked.
It looks massive, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, is all I've heard is that they've taken stuff from Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I'm like, so is this like an open-world Mario game? Anyways, my point is, you've got a ton of games. Is it really realistic that you would play Doom?
Well, let me answer that in a second. I will say I didn't get the vibe that Mario's going to have an open world setting like Zelda. I got more of a Mario 64 vibe where it looks like there's a hub area. And then I did see at one point you jump into a painting, so I'm not sure if you jump into paintings again or if that was just one thing that happened. But you definitely have unique worlds that you then travel to because you've got a global map and you fly your ship around. It's like a big hovercraft that you fly around. So I don't know that it's open world in the same vein as Zelda, but we'll have to wait and see what Breath of the Wild elements are influences are there, if any. The thing about Doom is when I finally sat down and played it at the beginning of this year, it was one of my favorite kind of backlog games that I've played this year. And when we did our re-ranking of last year, it was up there for me. I love this game. It feels, when it comes to a first-person shooter, we'll talk about another first-person shooter in a little bit that also just feels perfect. Doom just feels perfect. It feels wonderful to play. It has that perfect combination of speed and satisfying feeling to the guns, a wide variety of weapons to use, powers you can use.
I think it's going to drop to 30 frames per second.
That's what I've heard, and you know what? It's one of those things that if the news comes out that this thing is a shocking disappointment running on this system, that could totally change my mind. But right now I'm of the thought of It's not going to be, of course, not as high res as we're used to seeing on the PS4 version and Xbox One version, PC version. But there's two things. Number one, I'd love to be able to replay this game just because it's so fun. I could see me playing through a level at a time, on the couch while other things are going on. Also, I want to throw as much support behind major third parties on Switch as I can. So me personally, I want to throw support behind this stuff because I want Nintendo and Bethesda to see it's worth it. I know that just one person buying it doesn't make a difference, but if I buy it and if I can get a few others, if I can get a few others excited about it too who are listening, then I think it's going to be a good thing for the Switch moving forward. I am shocked that not only is Doom coming to the Switch, that was a legitimate surprise to me, but Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus is going to be coming in 2018 to the Switch. Completely surprising to me. From what I've heard, Bethesda has they've built these games from the ground up on an engine that can be scaled to the Switch, where the experience will stay relatively the same without necessarily being as taxing to the system. So it's very surprising to me.
I wonder if they figured out a way to pull off 60 frames per second. I think people are just jumping to the conclusion,
right?
Because especially if you go in like big groups, when they were making all these announcements, all the people were like, "You're just gonna get 360 versions of these games," and they're ignoring the fact that the Switch is actually more powerful than the 360 and the PS3.
Well, it's more powerful than the Wii U, which was comparable to those two. Yeah.
And the Wii U was even more powerful, but what they're forgetting is it's not that far below the Xbox One. It's not like it's this huge drastic difference. And with cartridges, Nintendo and them know how to make these games run more efficiently.
Agreed.
So I do think it's still possible. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 30 frames per second, but I would not be surprised if you get a little bit better graphics than the 360 version, just like cleaner, not detailed, just cleaner. Because you can, and I learned this from having a PC, you can make a picture look cleaner and not be detailed. Like, I have Rise of the Tomb Raider right now, and it's actually one of the games I'm playing on PC. And you can go in there, and I turn it up on 4K, and I turn it on ultra settings, and you can actually, one of the settings is you can lower the amount of detail they have in the game. So you'll actually, and I literally see patches of grass disappear, or details on the rocks disappear.
Right.
So there's stuff like that that they could do and be like, okay, this isn't going to be as detailed,
yeah,
but we're definitely going to be able to nail 60 frames per second if we.
Well, and that's the interesting thing about Doom, because I thought it was a really good-looking game when I played it on the big screen.
It is.
And a lot of that had to do with the detail that's in the background. But as you get into that game, I actually found myself making it through entire areas without really stopping to look at and appreciate how good it looked, because I was moving so fast. So I don't know. I'm with you. If it plays smoothly, it's a major win. If for some reason
30 frames per second, it's not the end of the world. We played on that for an entire generation that lasted like 7 years. Yeah. We were playing every first-person shooter except, I think, Call of Duty at 30 frames per second. So.
I know for those who are into the competitive multiplayer, it's a bigger deal. Or for those who maybe will be playing on the hardest of hard difficulties, that can be a bigger deal because precision is key. So I totally understand that thought. If they can figure out a way to make it 60 frames per second, like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did, right? That's 60 frames. It's doable. It's a matter of can they do that along with the graphical powerhouse that is a game like Doom. So it'll be interesting to see how they deliver on that. I'm hopeful. Based on the clip that they showed, it looked good to me, and I'm hopeful that Bethesda will put out a good product. I've heard that when you buy the physical cartridge version, it only has the single-player version on it, and then you download the multiplayer as a free download once you put the cartridge in.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, and it's the same thing with 2K18. NBA 2K18, now this game runs 30 frames per second, but I will tell you, since I own the game and I was actually playing it tonight, there's a reason why it would have to drop from 60 to 30 frames per second. It's actually a pretty graphically intense game, but it's also my player, the portion I'm playing right now, is kind of like an open hub world. It's not like this linear game or just load a basketball court and put players on it. It's literally you're walking through the streets and stuff like that, and there's people there.
And this is on, you're playing this on Xbox One?
I got it on the PS4.
Okay.
I wanted to get it on the Switch, but I knew I wouldn't use the handheld mode as much as, say, someone like you. And I said, well, I can do 30 frames per second or 60. I'm going to go 60.
Yeah, makes sense.
But so if I knew I was traveling, I would have gotten it on the Switch. But my point is that they were able to nail and this is, I haven't played it, but I've heard they were able to nail the graphics on the Switch for NBA 2K18. They just had to lower the frames per second a little bit. Yeah. So they're nailing these games. The thing people have to remember though, you cannot compare a Switch to a One or a PS4 because you cannot compare a PS4 to an Xbox One, and it's this simple reason. You cannot take any of these games on the go on the Xbox One or the PS4, and do not bring up remote play. It is garbage.
Well, and that's the bottom line for me with something like Doom. The idea that the next business trip I go on, I can sit on the plane and play something that I know I'll come back to, and
if
it's
I
just
knew
fun
I
to
was
rock
going
through a level.
Yeah. Or I traveled like you every once in a while. Then it wouldn't have even been a thought process. I would have gotten NBA 2K18 on the Switch.
Right.
But since I knew that game was just going to be, hey, I'm sitting in my chair and I'm going to be playing this, why not get it on the console? It's going to be a little more powerful.
So I'm going to be very interested to see how Bethesda delivers. I've heard good things about the Skyrim Switch version, that it runs very smoothly for the most part. I mean, Skyrim itself is a janky experience in a lot of ways. But I've heard that for as good as it can run on other, consoles and systems, it runs very smoothly on Switch, and I've heard that it's definitely an upgrade from the original release. It's not like the original Skyrim game from 2011 is here. It's some sort of upgrade. Is it the true HD upgrade that major consoles got, in the last year or so?
I think
maybe not. Maybe not, but it definitely looks great from what I saw and from what others have said. So I'm very intrigued by this, and Doom, of course, coming out this holiday to me is a major
prediction. I think GTA 5 will make its way to the Switch.
I think it will too,
or anything.
I think it'll be next year.
Yeah, I think LA Noire is kind of like, I don't know. I think it's just Rockstar's way of saying we're gonna start porting some of our old games to other systems, but also to the Switch. Like, we're including the Switch with LA Noire, and I do think all it takes is a little bit of brain cells to figure out Grand Theft Auto 5 is kind of like Skyrim, and it releases everywhere. And it's because it's kind of like, well, it's actually better than Skyrim. It kind of sells. So
it's kind of like Minecraft, really. They're like, hey, that's a new system. Let's put it on that one. Like, it's everywhere.
So I really do think it's going to come to the Switch, and
I do too. I think it'll come out next year. I think they'll announce it at E3, and it'll come out next fall, if I had to guess. But I do think GTA 5 is coming to the Switch as well. I agree with that prediction.
Skyrim's 60, by the way, on Best Buy. So for Switch.
60?
40 for everything else, but that's because it's been out for a year. But it's right now priced. And Best Buy is not always accurate. Sometimes they'll just put it at 60, and then the price will get announced later. But I do think it's going to be a $60 game. Not for me, because I just don't care about Skyrim. But if I was a huge Skyrim fan, I would buy it again.
Oh, yeah. The idea of being able to play a full, beautiful version of a fan-favorite game on the go, if I were interested in experiencing this, because I know I've tried it a couple of times, and it's just not for me. That being said, I can see this being a major draw for people just to buy this system outright if they don't already own it. Like, I can take Skyrim wherever I go. Sign me up. I can totally see people doing that. So very cool that Nintendo is getting these, and I could be wrong, but I feel like the major reason is that Nintendo has made it easier to not only communicate with them, but to develop for their system. From all I'm seeing and hearing, this is a system that is much, much, much easier to develop for than the Wii U was for developers. Just their experience of porting things over and working with Nintendo. From what I'm seeing and hearing and reading all secondhand, it sounds like a much smoother experience for everybody. So that's fantastic. I have a lot of hope for third-party support moving forward. We were not this hyped about Switch stuff and about Wii U stuff and Wii U future, 6 to 8 months into the Wii U's life cycle. We were starting to feel a little nervous at this point with the Wii U. So this is very exciting. I'm glad that the conversation on Nintendo is continuing to improve, and there's a lot of buzz there. So there's a few other things there as well, but we won't dig too far into it. Just so you guys know, that Direct I think is worth watching, unless similar to Derek, you don't want to see too much Mario Odyssey stuff. If you do want to watch the direct about the other things, though, Mario Odyssey is the final thing they show. And when you see Mario kind of grab the hat with the white background and start running, it's all going to be Odyssey stuff from there on out. So if you want to watch the rest of it, I encourage you to go watch it. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 looks gorgeous. Octopath Traveler looks fascinating and really pretty. And, of course, Mario Odyssey looks to be an instant Game of the Year contender. So lots of more exciting stuff from Nintendo, but we'll move on past that. We've done 3 straight weeks of talking a lot of Nintendo. Let's move on to the biggest game that's out right now. It just came out last week, and it has been taking really the gaming world by storm. Mostly positive reactions, although not everyone's going to be happy about everything. Let's talk about Destiny 2.
Really? I thought everybody loved the same thing.
Yeah, usually everyone, especially when it's an online experience, they have no complaints whatsoever.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Destiny 2, which Derek has already dubbed the worst game of the year, which is weird that he hates this game so
absolutely. Much. It's up there with Minecraft and Firewatch. What's the other crap that I hate? I hate
No Man's Sky, No Man's Trash.
Yeah, it's one of the... No, it's absolutely amazing. I'm completely addicted. I'm probably close to 50 hours, and the game hasn't even been out for 10 days. Granted, I was on vacation, so I'm not that big of a loser. But
and people were giving you a hard time. You got to the end of the game, and you said it probably took you in the 10, 11-hour range. And people are like, really? Already? And you're like, guys, I'm on vacation. I've been playing all day yesterday and all day today. That's all I've been doing.
Well, it's so stupid, too, because, like, you play a Halo game and you finish it in 2 days. Nobody goes, well, that was short. Like, you know when you're playing Halo, it's going to be 10 to 12 hours. It's the same thing here. Honestly, that's kind of where I'll start here. I want to say this. I do feel like Destiny 2 story is getting praised a little bit more than I would praise it, and here's the reason why I think so. It's mainly because Destiny 1's was so bad, so the bar was so low, that anything above that bar, people are like, well, they did a pretty good job.
Well, before we go too far into the Destiny 2 story, tell me real quick, as quickly as you can, because I want to focus on Destiny 2, but what made Destiny 1's story so bad in your mind? Like, why was it poorly received?
Why was it poorly received? I think a lot of people wanted, like, a Mass Effect type experience. I think they wanted a kind of an open area, open world, kind of what Mass Effect Andromeda was. I know it's crapped on, but you know what I mean because you've played it. Where you go from planet to planet and you kind of do these missions and you explore and it's open. And I think that's what people wanted from Destiny. They wanted a narrative. They wanted a story that wasn't... they wanted just a cohesive story that felt together. And what I mean by that is Destiny 1, and even Destiny 2 does this, it felt like it was just go from mission to mission with no reason behind it. Like, there was no purpose. Destiny 2 does a better job because every mission they give you, and yes, it is designed almost exactly the same as Destiny 1, and that is you go from story mission, you select the story mission on the map, you get loaded into it, and then you do it. But they give you a reason, and they even have characters talking about your reasons. So you're listening to people speak to you and say, well, here's what we need you to do, and here's why you're doing this, and how it's going to help the situation. Right. So, like I said, it is a good story. Good is probably not the word I want to use. It's a solid story. Okay. But it's not mind-blowing. It's not amazing compared to, like, I would say a game like Andromeda blows it out of the water, yet you hear how Andromeda's pure shit. I mean, I was sitting there listening to a show I like to listen to. Actually, I like it more than Fathers of the Grind. And it's GameSpot's, their podcast. I'm forgetting the name now.
Must not be that good if you can't even remember what it's called.
The Lobby. No, you know I forget everything. I would forget my
Blondie.
name. Blondie and Stash Guy. I'm a big Uncharted fan. But anyways, it's called The Lobby, and every time they mention Andromeda, and they purposely bring it up, they all shit on it, like, right away. They all crap on it. And I'm like, God, you guys are so annoying. And they're all Mass Effect fans, too. And I'm like, you didn't give this game a fair shot. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that game had a solid story, yet it was crapped on because most people didn't even finish it. This game has a story that's not even, to me, even close to it. It's got cool lore and all that, but it doesn't have a story even close to a game like Andromeda, yet all the reviews I've read or seen or anybody talking about it, even in our groups, is positive. Oh, it's got a great story. You should play it. It's a good story. It's a good story. And I'm like, it's solid. It's worth playing and experiencing, but it's not good or great.
So I think the struggle with Destiny 1 is a lot of what you just mentioned. There was no cohesiveness. It really wasn't tied together very well. There wasn't really a central protagonist or antagonist, although they did have kind of the leaders, Zavala and Ikora and eventually Cade 6 and others. And that was good. I thought those were positive characters with great voice actors, and they carried over to Destiny 2. That's fantastic. But it really lacked that central, we need to band together, and here's why, and here's the story, and here's why your characters are important. They tried, but for some reason it just fell flat. And I don't remember thinking that Destiny 1 was an absolute disaster in terms of lore or story. I just remember thinking it's ho-hum and hard to follow. So I don't think it was bad. But then again, maybe my expectations were already low. So let me just start with that with Destiny 1. I love that you're comparing Destiny 2's story with Andromeda, because that's exactly where my mind goes when I think about the story of Destiny 2. Mm-hmm. So I have finished it. I'm in the end game portion now, and I'm running some of the later level adventures and a few strikes here and there and some public events, just kind of having fun, looting gear and stuff like that now. So I've played through the whole story, and I thought it was good. I think it was a little better than what you called solid. I think it was good. I think it is... as an overall narrative, if you just looked at the major plot points, the cliff notes, I think it's close to being on par with Mass Effect, the Andromeda. The problem is Mass Effect Andromeda has this 40, 50, 60-hour epic story that really weaves a bunch of moments in, a bunch of really interesting battles you have to fight, some reveals about characters and about the villain, about what they're doing and why, and this other race that they're targeting and what they're doing to them, and it gets pretty fascinating. But it all kind of starts with that same idea of, you're on the side of good and trying to help people prosper, and then this evil villain comes in. He's just there to dominate. And so both of them have similar villains. It's just that Gaul, the guy who is the villain in Destiny 2, I think he's super cool. I love his design. I love his voice. I think he's very intimidating and scary. His introduction to the game is really awesome. I love the way they introduce him to you in the game. After the opening levels there. And the problem is he's very one-note, very stereotypical. He wants the power that you have, and that's pretty much it. That's his whole motivation from start to finish. Whereas the other villain, Archon from Mass Effect Andromeda, and by the way, none of this is spoiler stuff. This is all stuff at the beginning or just obvious stuff. I won't tell you how anything turns out. But Archon has much different goals. And the way he's going about them is very different, and his cleverness is clear. I mean, he's kind of a ruthless guy. He sets some traps here and there, and he does there's some twists towards the end of the Mass Effect Andromeda story that are like, wow, this guy's a good villain. So that's the difference. They're very similar in terms of you're this small band of people that are going up against this big evil bad guy who wants to dominate you, but there's so much stuff in between for Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm wondering if I would have even noticed the things lacking in Destiny 2 if I hadn't just played Andromeda this summer, where I was really impressed by the depth of the story and how much it really pulled me in. And Destiny 2 felt like a very similar story and fast forward. Because it's going from mission to mission, things are moving along really quickly, and next thing you know, I'm at the final boss fight, and it's over. Yeah. So I don't think overall it was too short. 10 hours is fine. It just felt rushed when I was done. So... because it had so much potential to be bigger. Now, that being said, let me say this about Destiny 2's story. They have done a fantastic job with their side adventure missions, as well as the subclass unlock missions. They really dig into some lore there in those areas. And if you allow yourself to put in some headphones and listen to the dialogue, listen to what's being said, listen to the writing, all of that is vastly improved. The writing's improved. The voice acting is great. I genuinely laughed out loud a few times with, there's a character called Failsafe, this AI character who I think is fantastic. Kind of reminds me of GLaDOS from Portal a little bit. There's another character, I forget his name. He's kind of this southern accent guy who talks to you on one of the planets. He was funny. I thought it was really great, but it's not just funny. Of course, Cade 6 voiced by Nathan Fillion, amazing. It's not just a matter of did it have funny moments. It's a good mixture of drama, the weight of the heaviness of the story, and adding some moments of levity that are very kind of Star Wars-esque. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. So I thought they did a good job with this story, even though I really feel like it could have been padded out in a good way, a bit more. So
yeah, and that's what I meant. I agree with you. I won't use the word good. I will say solid that is being said it's good because of Destiny 1 being so poor. But
That's
keep
fair.
in mind,
Yeah.
for me, and this is my viewpoint, Destiny 1 was not a letdown in any way at all for me. Because when I played the game, sure, when I first bought it, I was kind of caught off guard because I had never experienced... I'm not a MMO guy. I've played some MMOs, but only for a little while. So when I played the game, I kind of understood what they were going for, and I never went into it with the expectations of this is going to be like a Mass Effect style game. It's going to have this strong narrative. Now, through the several million, and I'm not exaggerating, conversations I've had about Destiny 1's story, because everybody online loves to whine about it, it was kind of Activision and Bungie's fault that people were let down by Destiny 1. Of course, I won't blame them completely. Fans of gamers are just stupid in general. But they did like hype up the narrative. And so when I went into it, I didn't pay attention to the hype. I didn't know they hyped it up. Kind of like Mario Odyssey. I kind of know what the game is. Like, I'm not going to be completely caught off guard, but I don't know everything about it. Same thing with Destiny. So when I went in and played that, I got what I wanted. I wanted a loot-driven game with missions that you keep doing over and over to get better loot. Now, I'm not going to go into the other issues I had with the game, because this isn't about the first Destiny, it's about Destiny 2. But there were issues, but the story was not what I was whining about.
Yeah.
So with Destiny 2, I'm happy that they've made the changes they've made. In fact, while I didn't think it was necessary, I actually, now that I've experienced, I'm like, that's pretty cool. Now it like kind of opened up my mind to, well, they could even go even further. Like they could really.
It makes me excited for their DLC, their inevitable DLC story mission, story packs that'll come out where they'll tell a whole new piece of the lore. So I'm excited about that now. I'm with you. It does it made me more excited this time around about the world they've built. This is a better job of world building.
And their cutscenes gave me that like Star Wars vibe, how they would kind of cut away from you got your update on the good guys, now let's go and take a look at the bad guys. And I really liked, while you were right about the main villain having one note, I did like that the sidekick of the villain who, was there to help him as well, he brought a different perspective, and I thought he made things a little more interesting when listening to the main villain talk. Because, no spoilers, but they didn't exactly agree on everything. So I liked I liked the way they did the cutscenes. I liked the way that they gave backstory for the villain and his little buddy, and then also the protagonist team and everything that was going on there. Yeah. So overall, I thought the story was good.
Let's be really clear, just to build off what you're saying with the cutscenes, let's be really clear. The production value on this game is out of this world. It's gorgeous. Even everything from the loading screens to the way your characters look to the design of the armor and the weapons and the lighting effects and the environments are varied and really pretty. The cutscenes, the characters look great. The lip syncs are right on target, and the voice acting, I couldn't find one example of voice acting that made me cringe. It was all very well done, very believable. The production value, in my opinion, through the roof. I thought Destiny 1 had great production value too, but to me this one just knocks it out of the park. Again, the visuals in Destiny 1 were very good. The visuals here are pretty much second to none at this point. It's right up there in the top tier of current games that are out that have blown us away visually. This one looks amazing, and I know it's only going to look better in October for PC gamers like yourself when they get it on there. So it's an absolutely gorgeous game, and it feels and plays great too. Did you notice anything from a production or visual standpoint that either disappointed you or maybe surprised you, or is it kind of just delivering what you expect from Destiny 2?
That I think is one of the things I'm most impressed with was when I first booted up the game, and I'm playing on the PS4 Pro right now, on my 4K TV, and I said it on somebody's post. They were talking about how this game isn't HDR patched or anything, and I'm like, I said this game looks like it has HDR, and then my next comment I was like, this game looks 4K. Like, I know it's not 4K. I know it's not HDR, but I'm like looking at the color palette. I'm looking at the lighting. I'm looking at the details of my character, the world, everything, and I'm going, this game looks native 4K with HDR.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And that's pretty impressive because, as you know, you make fun of me for being a snob. I'm looking at these type of games now all the time. I'm looking at native 4K games. Like there was a game I was playing the other day, and I cringed because I could see the jaggy edges. I don't have to deal with jaggy edges anymore, and I'm like, oh, this game's ugly. Oh, it's NHL. I'm playing NHL 18. I'm like, so jaggy. Like all the characters are. It's like it just doesn't look good. And I'm like,
there are times that you sound pretentious, but this is one of the worst examples.
NHL 18 is trash because it has jaggy edges. But yeah, so I'm sitting there looking at this game and I'm thinking, wow, this is an absolutely gorgeous game. Yeah. And they have yet to patch this stuff, and they are patching it. And then obviously PC version already has the HDR. It's 60 frames per second. Yeah, and then you can get native 4K. So I'm expecting it to be even. I did play the beta on there, but I played it on my 4K monitor. I'd like to experience it on my 4K TV because that will have the HDR. But yeah, it's beautiful.
It is really beautiful, and I mentioned the gameplay. It's as fun as ever to play. We talked about Doom a lot earlier. It's right up there with those first-person shooters that just feel perfect to play. And Bungie's nailed it. They nailed it early on when they first started rolling out the Halo games, and they set the bar really high, and every game wanted to play and feel like Halo. And I know other companies have kind of done their own spin on the first-person shooter with some success. The Call of Duty games, and of course we talked about Bethesda with Doom and Wolfenstein. But the way Destiny 2 feels like the best version of every Halo you've ever played. It just plays really well, and I can't recommend it enough.
It's way better than even Halo.
It plays better than any of the Halo games I've played.
Yeah, I think Halo 5 probably, in my opinion, control-wise and just the way it plays better than any other Halo. Now, that's just my opinion. I'm sure there's some Halo fanboys like, Halo 2 is the greatest game ever. But this game blows that out of the water. There's not many first-person shooters, or even any I can think of now, that actually plays better than Destiny 2, or even Destiny.
Well, and they've done a masterful job on the weapons. I mean, they all have a very unique feel to them.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. You've got this game that plays great. This is, they don't get a lot of credit for this stuff, but think about it. This is an RPG style game combined with first-person shooter mechanics. It's kind of like, think about, like I've talked about Fallout before. I said that I feel like Bethesda, who is not very good at making games play good, I always try to give them the benefit of the doubt, even though I know I'm lying to myself and going, well, they don't make the first-person shooting mechanics very good because they want you to rely more on their RPG mechanics.
Now, you're talking specifically for their Western RPGs, right? Because the first-person shooting mechanics in Wolfenstein and Doom are great.
I'm talking about like Fallout. So Fallout, that's who I was talking about, Fallout. Yeah. But I was saying that I think that they purposely make the first-person shooter mechanics average at best because they want you to rely on their VAT system and the RPG mechanics, which could be true, but I think I'm lying to myself. But with Destiny, they've taken, no, they don't have a VAT system, but they've taken the first-person shooter and they've made a shooter that plays just as good as a Doom, if not better, or a Wolfenstein, if not better. And
or even Call of Duty.
And then they've combined it with RPG elements. And what I mean by that is each gun handles differently. Like, I have some machine guns, submachine guns, that if you don't control the joysticks, it will just literally go crazy. But
because it's clearly a lightweight gun. You actually move a little bit faster when you're carrying it compared to other guns. It's lightweight. It's fully automatic. But man, you're right. That kick can make the aim go way off.
You feel it
compared to an auto rifle, right?
You know, and I'll show my hands. You know, you have to like adjust your stick and push down, like not down on the button, but down on the stick to get your gun to go down because it wants to go up. It wants to pull your arm up. So it's really well done, and they do that with all their RPG elements and all the stats that they have for how each gun should handle, and just the way it feels. And then I've had several conversations with like Rob Rinaldi when you, especially with like revolvers, like I use the Sunburst revolver a lot, and when you just aim and lock on somebody's head and pull the trigger and it explodes, like, and you see, like, I don't remember, I think it's the Taken, that their souls evaporate out of their head, or where their head was. Stuff like that. I'm just like, this is off the charts, the best game I've ever played as far as gameplay.
That was the moment?
Yeah.
The headshot soul escape. That was it.
Yes.
That was it.
It's just, it feels so good. Everything about it's real good. Sure, there's some things I would wish they would add. Like going back to Mass Effect, you know, I'd love to have like a jetpack or something like that. But then, as I'm playing this game, this is like a little thing maybe you don't care about, but I absolutely love it, and I won't play a character without it. But you can actually upgrade your character to a triple jump, and each character can have it, and each subclass can have it. And I shouldn't say each character, I apologize, because I'm using the Hunter, so maybe the other characters don't have this ability.
The Titan, I don't believe, has it, unless I totally misread the description. You've got a standard, you know, second boost on your jump. You've got a really strong initial burst on a jump, and you've got a third one that allows you to really control the direction of that jump.
Okay, so it doesn't have it. So this means I picked the right class. The Hunter class is for me. But the Hunter class has the ability on all its subclasses to unlock the triple jump. And that is awesome to sit there and be able to jump multiple tiers and to go further and control where you're going, stuff like that. So they have all these elements. They've locked them down. I don't know. For me, this game is my Rocket League. You know, I've been playing Rocket League for 2.5 years. I played Destiny 1. I'm not going to sit here and say I played it as consistent as Rocket League. I didn't. I've already said it on the podcast that I've put 300 hours into Destiny, and I probably put 1,000 into Rocket League. But Destiny was my other go-to game, and that's what Destiny 2 is already doing. Like, I'm got to be at 50 hours, and I'm not sick of the game at all. Like, I was at work today, and I was thinking about it. Now, I didn't come home and play it that much because I was like, well, I got NBA and some other games that just came out. But Destiny 2 is the game that I feel like I can play with friends, but also it's fun on my own. And that's something, if you don't mind, I know we've probably talked about Destiny too long, but I want to talk about is, as somebody who played a lot of, like, out of my 300 hours in Destiny 1, probably 280, maybe 270, 280 were by myself. I did not play that game with a lot of people, like friends. Of course, if I do strikes, then I'm running it with strangers. But I essentially played that game completely by myself. That game is not built to be played by yourself. Yes, they allow you to do it, but if you really want to level up in that game, and forever I was behind. Like, when people were at, like, 280, I was at 220 or something like that, because I was like, I can't do what they're doing. I can't do the Nightfalls, and I can't do the raids. And that's where all the loot is for me to level up. So there's, like, this wall that they put up in Destiny that they're like, yeah, you can keep running the same strikes over and over, but you're not going to get anything. You're just going to get equipment that's all at your level. You're not going to get an exotic. You're not going to get anything. Right. And that's what happened. I would just sit there and play the game and do the same thing over and over, and I wasn't leveling up. Maybe go up 1 or 2 points every once in a while. But with Destiny 2, in my first 50 hours, I've gone from a 0 power level to I'm at 283, and I've ran, out of the 50 hours or whatever I've played, I'm close to 50, I've ran that probably 45 of those hours by myself. The other
Dang.
5 were with like Mike. I played a little bit with you and played a little bit with my brother. In Kent, I tried to run the Nightfall with Kent, fail. But the point I'm trying to make is in that 45 hours, I was able to level my character up because the thing that I think Destiny 2 does way, way better than the first one is they give the players that satisfaction of you're doing something. Like, what you do matters, and we respect that. But I will say this, and I don't think you've hit a high enough light level. What are you right now?
I'm at 245.
Okay, so while you're in from 0 to 260, the game goes, Tim, you can do whatever you want. We're going to reward you. Just do whatever you want. And as I was playing this, and I got to like 260, 265, somewhere around there, and I'll admit this is the truth, I even got nervous. I'm like, they've made this too easy. I'm going to get to 300 light level in like 2 seconds, and then I'm going to be bored, right? Because if I'm not getting better as a character, while the game is fun, the part of the fun is like unlocking stuff to make you better.
And I think that's the addictive hook. Is
Yeah.
unlocking, improving, constantly seeing your numbers go up. I mean, that's the addictive hook that started with Call of Duty 4 and all these types of games and all MMOs in general. It's all about getting the loot, improving your character, seeing that level go up, unlocking the next move. I mean, that's the addictive hook of these games, you know?
Yeah.
So
that was my concern, as I was like, dude, and this is like in the first 30 hours, maybe less, that I was already at 260 something. And so I was nervous because I'm like, I played Destiny 1 for 300 hours and I never got my character maxed out like this fast. But once you hit the 260, 265, and I'm not going to spoil it, people want help, they can either go online or they can ask me. I know how to do it. But you have to change how you play the game, and you do have to follow certain rules to level up. Now, this is the whole point of me sharing this. I know I go on forever, but there's a good point to this. They allow me to play it solo and follow these new rules, and I can still level up, and I don't need anybody. Like, I made a post the other day, today actually, I think, just joking, saying I have not successfully done a Nightfall. I have not even tried the raid, and yet here I am at 283, and I've done it all by myself. And it's because I'm following the new rules, and the new rules are allowing me to upgrade and constantly get new gear that I need that's pushing my character further. So I want to say
awesome.
The biggest thing that I love about this game is that they acknowledge that single players like me were kind of getting left behind.
Yeah.
And without destroying what they created, they made it playable for me while still supporting, and they absolutely should do this. I have no problem with them saying raids, you need friends. You can't go and play with randoms. I have no problem with them saying Nightfall, especially after doing the Nightfall with Kent and his buddy KG. Both those guys are very intelligent. They've ran several Nightfalls. I've never done a Nightfall, so I was a noob, and it showed. But I now see why they block Nightfalls off from randoms playing together, because it takes constant communication. Like, KG was talking the entire time, not in an annoying way, but in an informative, like, this is what you guys need to be doing. Like, change to this weapon. You need to focus on this enemy, because after we kill this enemy, we have to run, because if we don't run, we run out of time. So that type of stuff. So they really nailed everything. If you want just a multiplayer-centric game that's got, like, cooperation is required, they got it. If you want multiplayer and Crucible, like competitive multiplayer, I absolutely love the Crucible, and you know me, I don't care about online multiplayer games. I'll play them for a little bit, like Titanfall and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, they're cool, but over time they get old. Well, this one I'm having a lot of fun because it relies on you playing as a team. If you run off on your own, you're probably going to die. So I'm really enjoying every aspect of this game. It's definitely in the running for my game of the year. That's not a surprise to people, but It's the truth. It's up there with Rocket League in a game that I'm just going to consistently come back to.
See, I do like playing it solo, too. I'm glad you mentioned that. I think the solo experience is good. It's better than Destiny 1's solo experiences that's for sure. But I have more fun when I'm playing with others, especially now that I'm done with the story. So gaming with guys like Mike and Justin or teaming up with you, like that's way more fun to me than playing solo. Now, playing solo is a lot more fun, though. So I'm totally with you there. There's plenty for me to do. You're right. I'm in that phase where pretty much everything that I decide to do, a patrol or an adventure mission or a public event, I'm probably going to get a couple of ticks improved on the overall light level at some point, right? When I go and finally turn everything in, I'll upgrade a little bit here and there. So that is nice. That is satisfying to see those things keep going up. But I am having a lot of fun with it. I know that we're kind of, and we're wrapping up our Destiny 2 talk here, but I know we're kind of gushing over how fun this game is, but it truly is. There are negatives to this game, and it really just depends on what you expect going in. I think if you just expect a really fun online first-person shooter, you're going to not only get that, but you're going to be pleasantly surprised about the depth that's there, about the fun of the multiplayer, and about the quality of the story. If you go in looking for things to hate, you'll find them. And especially if you play Destiny 1, there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot that carried over from Destiny 1. Everything from the interface to the way the map structures kind of work in some ways, and a lot of the enemy types are very, very similar. There's some new ones, of course, but there's a lot that's very, very similar. That's not that surprising when you think about the developer. Okay, Halo 1 to Halo 2, it didn't mean Halo 2 was a bad experience. It just took a lot of what made Halo 1 great and made it even better. And that's the way a good franchise works. It keeps the stuff that's good, that kind of makes you feel like you're in familiar territory and know what you're doing, and it adds stuff on top of it. So I think if you're going to point out some negatives about Destiny 2, it comes down to those types of things where maybe there's some things that aren't different enough, possibly. I do think that the overall experience of leveling up is going a little too quickly. I don't even think I've hit 20 hours on this game, and I'm at 245. And I understand like what you're saying. It's going to slow down, but that's not nearly as satisfying to me. Getting 1, 2, or 3 light, power improvements over a bunch of strikes, things like that. I wish there was a way they could have slowed it down around the 200 range and really let us and spread it out in a way that still is satisfying and can take some time. But whatever. Those are nitpicks because it is such a good game. It is definitely something to consider for a Game of the Year conversation. It's just a well-made game, and I highly recommend it to all of you who enjoy first-person shooters. If you like MMOs or a combination of both especially, give this thing a try. We'll play with you. We've got a Fathers of the Grind clan that's going, and I believe that goes across multiple consoles and PC as well, I believe. So actually, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think it does. Anyway, join that clan, especially if you're on PS4. Everything you do, up to 5,000 experience points, goes towards the clan XP, and then we can keep leveling up the clan and getting more and more rewards.
Well, and the big thing about the clan that's really, really cool is, let's say you, Mike, and Justin team up and you guys go complete the Nightfall. You're all part of our clan. Well, it check marks the Nightfall for that week, and then I get alerted that I can go see Hawthorne. I'll go see her, and Hawthorne will give me a reward.
Yeah, she'll give you like a legendary engram or something. Yeah.
And the thing is, and I'll give you, and this is something I was sharing with Dan Phillips, and it'll help you for your future. First thing, here's a pro tip. Check all legendary items. And what I mean by that is you're going to go in and review them, and if you see a legendary mod attached to it, that means a purple mod, do not destroy that. Do not dismantle it to get legendary shards. The reason why is, and I don't know if you know this yet, all exotics and some legendary guns and armor have these mods, legendary mods, and they're +5. So I'll give an example. Right now I use my my Sunbolt exotic, and it's a 278 on the screen. It'll say 278, but it's actually a 273. It just has a +5 modifier on it.
Yep, I've got something similar. I've got that trace rifle. I've got up to 245, but it's actually 250. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm following you.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is if you keep those, every time you fuse something with it, it +5. So let's say I get a legendary item that's a 278, and then I have my exotic that's a 278. If I fuse those two together, it's not going to come out to 278. It's actually going to come out to 283.
So you're saying save them, not because I know you can't remove mods and reuse them. Once you replace them, mods are gone. But you're saying save them for infusing.
Yeah.
So maybe do a combination of those. If you get legendary items that don't have those mods, go ahead and dismantle those to get the shards you need to infuse, and then hang on to the ones that have the mods. That's a great tip, because that way you get a little extra boost when you do infuse something, because you've got that exotic that you've been waiting to upgrade, and you find you've got something you can infuse with it. If it's got that mod on there, that's a nice little boost.
And that was the big thing, because once I hit, I think it was 260 something, I don't remember. I hit something, and I went on Facebook, our group, and I was like, well, I'm kind of stuck, because everything, and I was running strikes and doing all that stuff, and I was like, everything I get is actually lower than my level. I think I was like 268, and everything I was getting was like 264, and I'm like, this isn't helping me. And it was happening over and over. We're talking hours, not just, I did one strike, now I'm going to go complain. And so I was getting a little nervous. I'm like, what's going on? The game's changed. And then that's when some people gave me some tips. They're like, go check your mods. What's on your legendaries? What's on your exotics? You need to start fusing some of these together to then lift them up, because you can always get them later or something like that. That's the thing with this game. They give you so many exotics, so many legendary weapons. You actually get overwhelmed to the point where you're like, I had 190 legendary shards. I now have 16 because I bought a bunch of stuff. But I had at one point almost 200 legendary shards, and that was all from destroying exotics and dismantling legendary equipment. So I was getting rid of everything, and I wasn't checking to see if they had legendary mods until I found out about that. That's when I started checking. I was like, oh crap, and then that changed the game for me.
Yep. So there you go. There's a hot tip from a Destiny 2 pro. But seriously, if you're listening to this and you want some friends to play with, do not be shy about it. Join our clan, and if you see us on there playing, just either join our fire team if there's a spot, or just send us a message on PS4 or whatever system we're on. We'd love to have you join us. It is a lot of fun to play with others. So I'm sure we'll talk more Destiny 2 as the weeks go on. This is not a game that you play through in 1 week or one weekend and are done. No. This is something that is ongoing. So I'm sure we'll have more Destiny 2 talk.
Kind of like Zelda Breath of the Wild, where
Absolutely.
Every week one of us will probably say something about it because we experienced something new. Or
Yep. So we'll keep playing that one. We're really enjoying it. I think this game is absolutely top-notch. A few other things I'm playing. Nothing really new to update you on except for one thing. I'm still playing Mario plus Rabbids. Just finished the third world. It is indeed challenging, but boy, I'm having fun. I've got one more character left to unlock. I'm getting pretty strong. I've gone back to get higher ratings on certain battles and certain maps. I've gone back to unlock certain treasure chests, and that game is just an absolute pleasure. I love Mario plus Rabbids. You'll hear a lot more about that game and Game of the Year conversations from me. It is phenomenal. I did jump back into Ghost Recon Wildlands this week, and I played for about an hour, not too long, but I knocked out a couple more story missions that you can do, and just kind of making little by little progress in that game. Really hoping to finish it, because I know you don't have to unlock the entire, you don't have to conquer the entire map to beat that game. But I'd love to get to at least the final boss showdown. So still chipping away at that little by little. And just today, I swung by Best Buy with a couple of my kids after getting some groceries, and we went to Best Buy and I grabbed Metroid Samus Returns for the 3DS. It's the first 3DS game I've purchased in a while, and I played it for about 30 minutes tonight before we started this recording. And all I can say so far is it is Metroid. It has a lot of Super Metroid vibes to it. You know, it's got a couple of screens with some written text. Here's what you're doing and why. And then that's it. They stop talking to you, and they just let you go explore your Metroid world. And they start giving you powers right away. They start, like, as soon as you start unlocking areas, you're unlocking powers left and right. So I like it so far. I'll talk more about it when I've got more time with it. What about you? What else are you playing besides Destiny 2?
I mean, I'm not going to go into anything too much because we can wrap the show up. But I am playing NHL 18. I started it yesterday. It's NHL 18. It's cool. I'll talk more about it when I play more threes. And I'm right now doing the my player type thing that they have. The goal that I'm doing for the journey I'm doing is to get my player to be the #1 draft pick in the NHL draft. So I'm actually starting in the minor leagues. I'm not in the NHL right now. NBA 2K18, I decided to pick that up. Originally, I was going to go with NBA Live because I enjoyed the demo I played, but I actually have EA Access, and I played a little more of NBA Live when it opened up, and I was like, no. It's just like, it's off a little bit. It's still good, but it's off. And now that I'm actually playing 2K18, I'm like, thank God I didn't go with live. 2K18 is definitely the better game. It just plays better, looks better, and it's more NBA. The big difference is that does have like a little bit of an open type world type thing where you can walk to the barber shop and then walk to Foot Locker and buy stuff, or go to the training center and train with your NBA squad and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. Playing Destiny 2. I did continue my playthrough of Mario and Rabbids. I haven't played it much because I had actually planned to play it when I went to Orlando for Rock the Universe. That got canceled because of the hurricane. Then I planned on playing it when the hurricane would destroy our electricity. That didn't happen. So I actually only played a little bit the other night and beat the boss for level 1. So
isn't that boss hilarious? The giant Donkey Kong thing?
Yeah, he's annoying, and I love that he keeps rubbing my face in his butt. But I beat him not last night, but like a couple nights ago.
Yeah.
So I'm on World 2. I do enjoy the game. Am I gonna probably beat it? I don't know. I want to just because I got called out and like, you're not gonna beat it. It's not your style of game, and I'm like, but I really like it. It's just it came out at a terrible time. And then I did start on my vacation Rise of the Tomb Raider. I got it on PC for part of the Humble Bundle. It was $12, so I got that game, and I'm getting some other games, whatever, are part of that Humble Bundle. And
great game.
It's a great game. I mean, this
Love
is my
it.
second time playing through it, and my only complaint now that I'm going back to it, and I've played a bunch of Uncharted, is for me, the shooting and the controlling and the aiming is smooth when you're using your bow. When you're using a gun, it's very janky. Like,
yes.
It's like all over the place.
Totally agree with that.
This is
the
so
bow
annoying.
is masterfully
why is the
done.
Bow like
Yep.
smooth.
Yep.
But then when I pull out my pistol, I'm like this, and I'm like this.
Yeah, Tomb Raider, I think, was better than, let's just say, Lost Legacy when it comes to the RPG elements, when it comes to the bow and arrow, and some of the stealth things you can do. But Uncharted is way better when it comes to the actual shooting combat.
Yeah,
and
even just taking cover is a lot more.
Yeah,
it's a lot better on Uncharted.
So here's hoping that, just like we've seen with Uncharted and Tomb Raider in recent years, here's hoping that when Tomb Raider 3, whatever they're going to call that, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, or whatever they call it, when that's finally announced and we get to play it, here's hoping that one takes some of the stuff that Uncharted's been doing well, you know, because they've been stealing ideas from each other. So hopefully they keep doing that.
Still a fantastic game, absolutely gorgeous in native 4K, and I'm running it on high settings. I did play it for a little bit on Ultra. Ultra, I can do a little less than 30 frames per second, but on high settings, I can do 45 frames per second. So it runs real smooth.
Was that bear super terrifying in 4K?
It is. It's terrifying.
More scary than
I didn't let him get too close to me though, because I immediately, I knew what I was doing, so I immediately shot 3 like poison arrows at him. He was done.
Yeah.
But yeah, great game. I'm actually pretty far into it. I hadn't talked about it at all, not only on the podcast, but I hadn't even posted about it. But I've put in probably 8 hours, maybe even more. I was doing some side quests and stuff like that. But
so you should be almost halfway through it at this point.
Yeah,
right?
I am. So it's a good game. Will I beat it? I don't know, because I thought I was going to beat Uncharted 4 again, and I quit that one halfway through. So I might do the same thing with Rise. But Yeah, that's what I'm pretty much playing, but the main focus is Destiny 2.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably play the 2 sports games as just, side games from Destiny 2.
Well, let me ask you one more question before we close. What is the next game you plan on buying? So right now we are September. This is the release on September 18th, 17th, 18th. What's the next game coming up that you are like, yep, I'm buying that?
It's 2 weeks from now. I saw that I have a game coming out in 2 weeks.
Oh, it must be Cuphead.
No, that's trash.
I'm getting Cuphead, by the way.
I know I'm getting Forza Motorsport 7, and that comes out early October.
Okay.
Or if you get the Ultimate Edition, it comes out September 29th. But I know there was another game coming out September 29th that wasn't Forza.
Cuphead.
So, no, definitely
I'm planning on buying SteamWorld Dig 2 on September 21st. I'm excited for that. And then assuming Stardew Valley and Golf Story actually deliver in September, like I think they should and might, then I'll get those on the old Switch as well. Otherwise, there's just the big wave of October games coming, and that's when my money's going to start really disappearing. So
let me check real quick. September 29th. Oh, FIFA 18.
Oh, FIFA. Is that Switch? You're going Switch for that one, or no? Because you want story mode.
No. Well, yes, I do want story mode, but I bought NHL and FIFA for my kids, so I get those on the Xbox, and then NBA I bought on the PlayStation 4 because that's for me. They won't play that. But yeah, I want Xbox with FIFA 18 because it's really for Ian and Eli.
Gotcha.
I might play it, but that's not my main game.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for taking time tonight, man. Appreciate it. Glad you guys are safe and back to some kind of normal down there. Mm-hmm. And everybody, thank you for listening. We will get back to you next week with, I'm sure, more Destiny 2 talk and probably yet again gushing about how Nintendo is doing awesome on the Switch. Sorry, that's what we talk about now, okay? Mm-hmm. And Derek talking about how great 4K is. You've learned the pattern, okay? This is what we do. So
well, I blame the Switch on you.
Yeah, the Switch part's me, the 4K part's you. Everything else is a failure for both of us. So
very true.
Next week is episode 90. We'll talk to you guys then.
Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?